So imagine spending most of your adult life chasing just one answer. Who's your father? Not for fame. Not for money. Not for clout. Just the truth. That's what Rhymer Carter has been fighting for over a decade. And the man at the center of it all? None other than Jay-Z, one of the richest, most powerful figures in hip-hop. It sounds like a Netflix drama, but this is real life. Rhymer's story starts in childhood. Raised by his mother, Wanda, she told him early on that the man on his birth certificate wasn't his real father. She claimed his biological dad was Sean Carter, Jay-Z before the fame. According to Wanda, she met him in the early 90s in Philly, when she was a teenager and he was in his 20s chasing music dreams. She says they ended up at his aunt's Brooklyn apartment, and that's where it began. Years later, after Wanda passed away, Rhymer kept pushing for answers. He's armed with sworn statements from his mother, legal filings, and DNA exclusions proving the man listed as his father isn't biologically related. All roads point to Jay-Z. Yet every time Rhymer tries to get a DNA test through the courts, the case stalls. Technicalities. Delays. Jurisdiction issues. For more than a decade, it's been the same story. And while Jay-Z has never once taken a test to shut the rumors down, Rhymer's been branded everything from a liar to a clout chaser. But listen to him speak, and it doesn't sound like someone chasing fame. It sounds like someone exhausted, tired of the silence, tired of being mocked, tired of being ignored. Enter 50 Cent. Of course he's not staying quiet. Known for exposing hypocrisy in the industry, 50 is now reportedly backing Rhymer. Word is, he plans to feature him in an upcoming documentary that will lay the case bare, turning a private family matter into a full-blown media firestorm. And then came the game changer. A judge recently ruled that Jay-Z must respond to the case by July 18th. After years of limbo, the system is finally moving. That ruling alone is monumental not just for Rhymer, but for what it says about power, celebrity, and accountability. Behind the scenes, there are claims Jay-Z's team once tried to settle things quietly, allegedly offering to boost Rhymer's music career before cutting off all communication. And online, he's dragged relentlessly. People mock him, call him delusional, say he's just after a payday. But he insists, it's not about money. It's about one thing. The truth. And here's the question no one can ignore. If Rhymer really isn't your son, why not just take the test? What's stopping you from just proving it? That's the question everyone's asking now. Back in the early 90s, before Rockefeller was even a name anyone knew, Jay-Z was just another ambitious rapper grinding his way through Philly and Brooklyn. According to Wanda, that's when their paths crossed. She was a teenager, vulnerable, just trying to figure out life. Jay-Z, already in his 20s, picked her up from Philadelphia and took her across state lines to New York. That detail alone has sparked massive outrage. The age of consent in Pennsylvania was, and still is, 17. If Wanda got pregnant at 15 and gave birth at 16, the timeline doesn't lie. And if true, the implications go far beyond just paternity. Wanda never stopped trying to contact Jay-Z after Rhymer was born, but she was met with silence. Eventually, she listed her boyfriend at the time, Robert Graves, as the father. But years later, a DNA test proved he wasn't. That's when everything changed for Rhymer. In 2010, he filed his first legal case to establish paternity. But going up against a billionaire? That's never easy. Jay-Z's legal team argued he couldn't be forced to take a test in New Jersey because he didn't live there. But Rhymer's side pushed back, showing property records linking Jay-Z to the state. Still, nothing moved. Judges were switched. Paperwork mysteriously disappeared. Courts claimed technical errors. It was as if the system itself didn't want this case to move forward. Rhymer's frustration kept growing. He wasn't just fighting for answers anymore. He felt like he was fighting straight-up fraud and collusion. His godmother, Lily Coley, became one of his strongest allies. She publicly claimed that Wanda was underage and that Jay-Z's team knew it. Not only that, but she says they tried to make the issue go away quietly. There were whispers of deals, promises of music opportunities, even cash. But the moment Rhymer refused to stay silent, the tone changed. Suddenly, it felt like the industry closed ranks to protect one of its biggest stars. And behind all the legal games, there's still the emotional weight. This isn't just paperwork for Rhymer. It's abandonment. Public shame. Confusion. He says he doesn't want money. He doesn't want revenge. He just wants to know the truth. His mom is gone now, and the only thing she left him was a name, Sean Carter, and the belief that her son deserved answers. The silence from Jay-Z's side only makes things worse. For a man who built his brand on family, legacy, and black excellence, it's hard to understand the refusal to engage. Why let this narrative hang over your head for more than a decade? Why not take the test and end it once and for all? Unless, of course, the test might confirm everything. And that's where public opinion is starting to shift. Because more and more people are asking the same question: if you've got nothing to hide, why spend 10 years avoiding one simple test? Especially now, with the spotlight already on Diddy and new whispers connecting dots that hip-hop hasn't wanted to discuss publicly. There's a storm brewing in the industry. Some of the genre's biggest names are under fire. And of course, 50 Cent is out here fanning the flames. He's never been one to bite his tongue, and now he's allegedly bringing rhymer into his documentary project. Whether it's petty, personal, or just 50 being 50, one thing's clear: he's not letting this story die. He's giving rhymer a platform. And that alone has shifted the energy. The deadline is set. Jay-Z has until July 18th to respond to the court. The clock is ticking. For Rhymer Carter, this was never about taking down a music icon. This was about reclaiming something most people take for granted: identity. Growing up, he never asked to be tied to one of the most powerful men in hip-hop. He didn't chase cameras. He didn't beg for headlines. He just wanted an answer. Now, at 32 years old, he's spent more than half his life trying to force a man to simply acknowledge him. The pain in his voice is undeniable. He's not loud. He's not dramatic. He's soft-spoken, grounded, and strangely calm for someone whose name has been dragged through the mud for over a decade. He talks about his mother with reverence. How she once sat him down, looked him in the eyes, and called Jay-Z by his birth name. "This is your father." She didn't just say it once. She said it again and again until it was etched into his memory. That consistency is what convinced him she was telling the truth. And now, she's gone. She died without closure. She died still being called a liar. But Rhymer refuses to let her memory be buried under denial. To him, this fight is her last wish, bringing the truth to light, no matter how long it takes. The details are chilling. Wanda was a minor when she got pregnant, reportedly just 15. She was allegedly taken across state lines by a man in his 20s. That raises questions that go far beyond paternity. But instead of answers, the system stalled. Judges rotated. Paperwork disappeared. Courts claimed their hands were tied. And Jay-Z's legal team, armed with endless resources, pushed back at every turn. Now, as hip-hop royalty faces more scrutiny than ever, old whispers are resurfacing. The industry can no longer bury its secrets. Jay-Z, a man once praised as a cultural leader and business genius, is now being painted differently. A man who may be willing to spend millions just to avoid a cotton swab. The silence stings the most. How can a man who speaks about legacy, family, and generational wealth refuse to even have a conversation with his alleged firstborn? Rhymer says it again and again: he doesn't want money. He's not asking for a seat at the Rock Nation table or a cut of the empire. He just wants to know where he came from. There are even claims Jay-Z tried to silence him with a gag order and defamation threats. If true, that looks less like protection and more like erasure. But the internet doesn't forget. The pressure is rising. The story is no longer controlled by lawyers behind closed doors. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one thing: a DNA test. If it proves Jay-Z isn't the father, the story ends. But if it proves he is, everything changes. Not just for Rhymer, but for Jay-Z, for his family, and for the legacy he's spent decades building. The clock is ticking. July 18th. The world is waiting to see if Sean Carter will finally tell the truth.